If there's no laptop, I don't care if someone has their private room or if a few people share a private room. It doesn't seem like a sporting advantage. Anyway, that's the first thing, which I don't consider a real controversy. It was just a more or less a discussion about like what should the playing conditions be.
Welcome back, everybody. World Rapid and Blitz. We have a quick update from Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Fabi, first of all, you just finished the rapid portion. It wasn't a great start, but you finished well in days 2 and 3, and you, in fact, shared third place. Tell us a bit about your tournament. Wrap it up. Wrap the rapid portion for us.
Yeah, I'll just go through it briefly. I mean, first day I was completely out of shape. Terrible play, really bad from the first game onwards. Yeah, just every game was either slightly bad or entirely bad. Yeah, first day was bad. Second day was okay. I mean, I lost a very crucial game against Chigayev from a probably winning position of the opening, or at least much better. Okay, it can happen. I won 3 games, 3 out of 4. Like in the past, like last year, for example, I think I did 3 out of 4 or I did +3 every day.
Mm-hmm.
So like first day 3 and first day that's 4 points. Wait, that's 4 out of 5, yeah, and then no, not +3. Sorry.
I think you started
Anyway.
with 3.5 out of 5 last year.
Yeah, and then I think I did like 3 out of 4,
And then you finished
3 out of 4.
strong, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, last year I got 9.5 points. So this year I'm half a point less. 9.5 pretty much medals you. From what I remember, usually like you medal with 9.5. That's the case this year. 9.5 was silver medal. Last year 9.5 was shared second, third. So I got silver. I got bronze. Vincent got silver. Magnus on 10 points, I think, last year.
Yeah.
I guess it's the same this year, right?
He finished on 10. Yeah.
10 out of 13. Yeah. So 10 is probably like sometimes 9.5 shares first. For example, 2021, 9.5 was shared first through fourth. It was me, Magnus, Abdusatarov, Nepo, Jan Nepomniachtchi. The 2 of them played a playoff, and Noterbeck won. Abdusatarov won.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the last game, of course, I was very lucky. I was completely losing against a very talented player, like very clearly talented, Idani Puya from Iran, but clearly an impulsive player. That's what I got from him. Like very talented, sharp, tactically, very dangerous. Just going forward, putting pressure on you, but impulsive. That's kind of why he blundered in a like completely. It was basically an unforced error. It was like he has time, he has a multitude of ways to prove a winning advantage. Everything's going his way, and he just like blunders the whole game away in 2-3
And this
moves.
was when he played Queen F5 at the end, allowing you to take on F2 his exchange, and then he just simply doesn't have enough compensation for it.
I mean, first knight takes F4, questionable. E3, a blunder. I blundered in return with Rook G1, maybe with Bishop G3. Sorry. Maybe you can excuse this blunder because it's kind of complicated. And I basically thought Bishop G3, Rook F2, Rook G1 was good for me. That's why I went for it. And it turns out that here he has, I think, Queen F7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which he mentioned after the game. He said like he can play Queen F7, but he's not better anymore. He's surviving. So at that point, and then he just Queen F5. I think he missed something clearly, and I got very lucky, and I finished on shared third through like 14th place, something like that. So overall, of course, disappointing tournament, but I got some luck at critical moments, and it worked out not so bad in the end, but still kind of disappointing. And Magnus won, of course, very convincing. There wasn't really much of a doubt. Like there was no moment in the tournament where he said Magnus is not going to win this.
Yeah, he hasn't lost a single game. Like generally, he loses at some point, at least one game. I mean, this one he didn't lose a single game.
No, he played excellent, like very, very excellent chess. And the only thing you could like say is everyone was trying to catch up. So it was close at one moment. For example, Vidit was close, Fedorzev was close, but there was never a moment where you would say like anyone besides Magnus was the favorite to win. So, congrats to him. It was a really good tournament. And from my point of view, I'm just looking forward to playing Blitz now.
Absolutely, and I just have a couple of questions for you. There was some controversy, especially after day two, regarding Magnus's lounge. This kind of became a thing. I'm not sure if it was after day one. There was basically a drama every single day. I think it was day one when the lounge discussion came about. Let's start with that, I guess. What's there to say about it?
Okay, the first thing I want to say is that I don't consider this drama. I know people they like this stuff.
It's
They
like they
like to,
space it out. They space it out.
controversy. No, but I don't consider the thing drama. So first of all, I have never had access in this tournament to a private lounge personally. So, um, I know that it's existed for players. I think in 2021, for like the last like few games of like maybe the last two rapid games, I visited the lounge, which was a very basic room where like I think Vichy was there, Rapport, Karyakin, a bunch of guys, Anish and Levon. There was a bunch of guys who were like going in and out of that room. It was a very basic room that you couldn't do anything there. Um, and also in 2021, people were sneaking phones into the playing hall.
Hmm.
So there were people with phones and stuff. It was a little bit like you're not supposed to do it, but people were sneaking them in. Um, then last year, I didn't know that about a lounge. From what I've heard now, like there was a lounge that Magnus, Hikaru, Jan, and maybe someone else were kind of going to.
Hmm.
And I've heard in the past that like again, I don't know exactly the veracity of this since I haven't seen it, but I've heard that there was one tournament where Magnus had his laptop in the lounge. So so I think what I said was like that's why I don't consider it drama. I wasn't going after Magnus. I didn't consider it a controversial statement that I was saying. I just think that, of course, players are going to have, let's say, better or worse starting conditions. The organizers want to attract Magnus. They're going to give him hotel room, flights, maybe some starting fee. We don't know exactly the details, but he's going to get incentivized to play. But once you're in the tournament, I think everyone should more or less have the same level playing conditions. Now, I don't consider a room by itself a big deal. Like if someone chills out in their own private room, okay, no biggie. The only thing that caused me to like repost was because there was the claim that Magnus had his laptop available to prepare, and that's what I don't think that that should be allowed.
Hmm.
So I don't think that one player should be able to prepare and others aren't. Just to go like a little bit more into that, Henrik Carlsen, Magnus's father, said publicly that Magnus doesn't have access to a laptop, and of course we believe him because I don't think that he's going to. I think he's going to tell the truth about that.
Yeah.
In which case, I don't see a big deal, and if I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have reposted or said anything. But again, I think what I said was just very generic, like everyone should have the same playing conditions. That's about it.
Yeah.
Uh, and the other thing was people made a big discussion about it, like you also accept better conditions. I mean, I don't think I've ever played. I've had better starting conditions, like better appearance fee and so on. That's normal, but I've never had different playing conditions from any other player, as far as I know. I mean,
Yeah, no, and that's a very important difference that you're painting out for everybody right now, because obviously everybody will get incentivized based on their level to play a certain tournament. You're going to be offered what we call conditions, right? This is actually how we talk about it. Hey, did you get conditions to a specific tournament? Yes, sure, I got this, and that, and of course, if you're better, you're going to get better conditions, but not. These are playing appearance conditions, not necessarily playing conditions. It's a very, very big difference. And as we just kind of understood, it wasn't really a big deal because Magnus did not sneak in his laptop, or at least obviously we don't. We
yeah,
believe him, obviously.
no, no, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm pretty sure that that's the case, that he didn't have his laptop.
Yeah,
Now, if someone can prepare for rapid games and the other person can't, it's obviously a sporting advantage. That's
it's a
pretty
big
clear.
one. Yeah.
Now, just to speak about some of the like public um, uh, comments that I saw, some were of course from trolls, right? There's some anonymous trolls out there. Some were from people in the chess world. Like for example, Hammer said, "Well, you know, you also get like your hotel covered, which is true. If you're over 2750, you get your hotel covered.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is not a plane advantage. It's a privilege, but it's not a plane advantage. It doesn't give you an advantage once you're in the plane hull. So anyway, that's just one thing. The other thing was a lot of people said, well, Magnus is world champion. He deserves it, which is ridiculous. Of course, you award someone who becomes world champion or becomes the best player in the world with all the accolades and money and celebrity and everything else that they deserve. But of course, you don't give them better playing conditions. So that's just one other thing. And the other thing was Fide said that you can like bring your devices in. So I'll just explain the system. There was a plane hall. Once you enter from the outside world into the plane hall, you have to go through a security check. After your game, you can go into the players area, which is an area for all the players with food, tea, water, and so on.
How is
You're not allowed...
just to stop there for a second? How is the security check for this one? Is it thorough? I mean, like compare it to, let's say, Toronto, which you just.
I think
played.
that the initial check is not thorough, but they also do random checks during games. Like I got checked twice with like a nonlinear junction scanner and a thermal scanner.
So they have the $40,000, $50,000 scanners as well. They don't just have the TSA skis, the basic ones.
The metal detectors they have at the start, but those, of course, we know aren't like foolproof. For example, my my protein bar was, because it probably has like a foil, like an aluminum foil, I guess,
mm-hmm.
which actually set off the metal detector. And they were like debating, like, are you allowed to take this, or do you have to check this clearly wrapped piece of food? It's a RX bar, I mean, it's clear what it is. But they let me take it in. Anyway, that's besides the point. Okay, so in the players' lounge, in the general players' area, which isn't a lounge, like most people have to stand up because there's not much seating and it's very crowded. It's fine there, but you can't have devices there. That's the first thing. If you want to access your device, you can go outside into the before you go through the security check. You can go outside and then you can re-enter and go through security check again to play. But nobody is taking their laptop into this open space, which is fully in the public view where you can't sit down. Mm-hmm. So, of course, nobody's doing that.
But what about check your phones?
Yeah, but nobody prepares with phones. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't really prepare with a phone. You can prepare with a computer, but not with a phone. Yes. Anyway, that's besides the point, because it's all moot if there was no laptop involved, and that's all I was saying. Like, that's the only thing that I would have an issue with. If there's no laptop, I don't care if someone has their private room or if a few people share a private room. It doesn't seem like a sporting advantage. Anyway, that's the first thing, which I don't consider a real controversy. It was just more or less a discussion about like what should the playing conditions be.
Yes. And the second one, another question that arose on Twitter was obviously the dress code violations. I think it was Anna Maya that got, who is a streamer as well, personality within the chess world. She got somewhat flagged by the I don't even, dress code brigade. I don't know how to call that. Dress code brigade, I guess. She got a $100 fine or €100 fine for wearing sneakers. She basically said that they were fashion sneakers, and then there was this whole discussion of which one constitute fashion and which one constitute like a regular sports sneaker. Did you have any problems? What's your take on it?
Okay, so the dress code. First of all, I agree with Anna Maya's position, which is that her shoes are fine. They look fine. In terms of the dress code, to be honest, it does change. It's been like this in the past. It's always been an issue, and I don't know why Fide doesn't change it around a bit. So, for example, if we're taking the topic of her shoes, which is not a particularly interesting, like whatever shoes someone wears is not a particularly interesting topic, but since it's part of the dress code, it becomes, I guess, some sort of conversation. They're fine. They're like nice looking, kind of half sneakers, half. I don't know what you would call them exactly. I have shoes like that. They're like sort of like Converse, or
they look like Converse. So that kind of, they're not unicolor. That's the problem, right? I think anything that's unicolor,
I don't think that's the issue.
Constitute the fashion.
The issue, I believe that the issue was that the material, like if you wear leather kind of sneakers, which I have sort of something like that, like leather sneakers. They're half sneakers, they're half dress shoes.
Yeah.
Those are okay. If you Obviously you can't wear tennis shoes, which I understand. Okay, you don't want like dirty shoes. I still don't think it's like a big deal because nobody even sees the shoes. Like people are playing, you don't see under the table, you don't see their feet or their shoes. Um, so it's kind of I don't even understand why the like footwear is even an issue. But okay, if they want to ban sort of dirty tennis shoes or running sneakers, yeah, okay, whatever. But these look nice, and also I don't see the problem with allowing people to show off their personality a bit through what they wear. Everyone likes different sorts of styles, so it's better to do that than to have a kind of uniform look where the guys wear, a suit, a black and white suit, I mean, a black suit and like a white t-shirt, like they're going to an office. They're going to sit behind a cubicle, and the women wear, I don't know, like black heels or some kind of black loafers or something,
Yeah.
and a black. Yeah, it's. I'd prefer to have something where you're allowed to show your character a little bit. You don't wear bad stuff. You don't wear torn clothes, but you wear something that looks good, and it's kind of you have some leeway in terms of what you wear. So if you want to wear like some kind of flashy red sneakers, but that are like well maintained and they look good, then sure, you want to do that. If you want to have the really formal kind of, black tie, then sure, do that.
Hmm.
I think they could definitely loosen it up and maybe do a little bit more case by case. So, of course, no like torn clothes, no dirty clothes, and um, yeah, I would say that their priority in terms of like finding her, even if it's sort of laid out in the rules, yeah, I would have been more easy on it if I was them, if I was
Yeah.
Fide.
Yeah.
Uh, and the other thing is, it's always a bit confusing because, for example, Anish showed up in a hoodie, not to call it Anish, but I mean, I think other people did too. And hoodie's okay. A hoodie is okay, but a hoodie is more casual than what she was wearing.
Oh, for
So I don't
sure.
really,
Yeah, she was wearing a dress outside of those sneaker shoes or whatever shoes.
but they allow hoodies for some reason. It's
Yeah.
like I don't understand the concept. It just doesn't really seem consistent or logical.
Yeah, in full
Um,
transparency, I'm actually
yeah.
part of the Athletes Commission who decided on that. But the meeting that decided that I was actually not a part of because I was in Toronto during the Champions Chess Tour. I think that's when it was decided. But of course, my take is a little bit different than yours for the simple fact that I understand the idea of showing personality, but I also want it to look like a world championship, and I want players to represent their countries, their sponsors, and also look good and also show their personality through that. That's what I hope to somewhat, achieve. Like I hope FIDE will be able to achieve that. I don't want everybody to just be wearing whatever they want, whatever they have in their closet, because in essence, it is a world championship and I want it to look like a world championship. Like, I don't mind jerseys. I know that jerseys right now, for example, are prohibited, but as long as they're jerseys that, have a sponsor on them, you represent something, you're bringing something to the table, to a world championship, because I see that in esports all the time, right? Everybody has uniforms in esports, especially when they play a
Mhm.
big tournament, and if we want to compare ourselves to like any other sport, I cannot think of any sport that you're not going to play in a uniform setting if it's a world championship. So I guess that's my slightly different take on that.
Okay, but I agree with you, but I come to a different conclusion. Like, first of all, I think that it's good to show sponsors. I think it's good to have the companies that are supporting chess present, but I don't see what that has to do with shoes. For example, like you can wear your shoes and then you have your sponsor logo on your jacket. Like, I don't see the connection between those
Yeah,
two
shoes
things.
are a little bit different. Yes.
So that's one thing. Or even jeans. Like if I wear, let's say, nice jeans, which are not allowed, jeans are not allowed. And then on my jacket, there's a sponsors and so on, whatever for example, I would have the St. Louis Chess Club, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
I represent the St. Louis Chess Club. So, uh, but the other thing, which is important, I think even more relevant, is that FIDE is requiring anyone who shows off a sponsor to put in, as compensation for even being allowed to show their sponsor, to put in some sort of like community work or whatever you call it, which is basically you commit yourself to a few hours of like online lectures or interviews or whatever they want.
Really? Okay,
Oh
that's
yeah,
silly.
absolutely.
That's silly. Yes, I didn't
But
know that,
they've been
but
doing
that's
this for
silly.
years.
Yes.
And I've quarreled with them a little bit over this. Like, I mean, not majorly, but because at some point I had uh like my sponsor at some point I was sponsored by Intel, by by another company, a biotech company, and by the St. Louis Chess Club. So I had these on my jacket. And then they told me like we didn't kind of approve these sponsors, and now you have to pay a fine. Which finally we worked something out. Like, and for example, last candidate, I wore the St. Louis Chess Club logo, and I had to do something in return for that. And what I did was they wanted me to be a model, if you want to call me that, for some of their new merchandise. Like there was a photo shoot in this tournament, in fact.
I
So they
saw
waited a
it.
long time
Yes,
to
I
ask.
was actually about to ask you
Like,
about it.
why do you think I did that? I'm not going to do that. But they have a few hours of my time. So they said, you do this and you're good. So I did it.
Amazing.
Uh, it was like 30 minutes of kind of awkward photo shoot with three other players. Vidit, Vidit was one player.
There was this
Let me remember
this
two
commentator,
women.
this new commentator,
Charlize,
Charlize. Yes.
Charlize
Hmm.
Von Ziel.
Hmm.
I might be pronouncing it wrong. She's doing the social media here. She was also doing the close. And then another player, um, Pecheva,
Yes.
Pecheva
Yes.
from
From
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. Yeah.
So it was the four of us. And the way they did the photo shoot was, I mean, we had like a photographer who was giving us all sorts of interesting commands. It ended up being very awkward, but okay, I did that. That was because of the uh because I wore the Kansas logo in 2022.
That's
So
funny.
I really don't think that FIDE should be doing this because they're discouraging people from wearing logos. And
Yeah.
wearing logos is good for everyone. It's good for me because I can represent whoever I'm representing, whether it's the St. Louis Chess Club or a company that sponsors me. And FIDE gets recognition because suddenly you have these companies that are visible in their broadcast, whatever it is. Intel, let's say Hikaru has his esports or whatever other company that sponsors him. This is like just good brand recognition. It benefits everyone involved.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my little rant about that. I don't think they're going to change it, but I do think that they should not have requirements for this.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that because I know you have a Blitz tournament to catch up with starting tomorrow. It's a big one, obviously the last tournament of the year for you. Finish strong and we'll catch up with you after the event.
All right. Thanks, Christian.